You're listening to the Zone Coverage Football Show, where opinions, passion, and pride are always on the line. Live from Tees Towers, here's your host, Mark Tees.
Hello, and welcome along to the Zone Coverage Football Show. It is Sunday, what was it now? 17th of May 2015. Hope everyone is well, wherever you may be. Only a couple of shows to go before I go off on my holidays and we have a bit of downtime. But I've been looking around, there's not a great deal going on in the NFL, so I thought we'd revisit the head coaches. It seems like forever ago now since Black Monday was upon us and we had the new coaches brought into a variety of teams. So I did a bit of digging. I'm going to do a little bit of history lesson, a bit of profiling on the new head coaches in the league. We'll get to that later. We're also going to have the news as normal, a week in words, and Tom from Huddle Magazine said he's going to give the show a bell. So I would imagine we're going to be talking a bit about Jaguars football later on. So before all that though, we'll get the pleasantries out the way. Again, listening live via the TuneIn and Spreaker app. And with the Spreaker app, as we said, say every week now, that the chat room's already full. Get over to Spreaker.com, you've got a Facebook page, just log on there. Find Zone Coverage Football Show, join the chat room. Robert's already in there, John's in there, Terry's is in there also. So good afternoon, guys, and thanks again for joining me. I know my times have been all over the place of late with the show. So what I'm going to be doing going forward, in all honesty, after I come back from my break in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be launching the show at 3:30 every week, not the usual 4 o'clock. We're going to mix it up a little bit. And the reason being is, there's a lot of people that still into the Premier League football and all that, and the kickoffs at 4 o'clock. So I'm thinking if we can just draw people in, even if it's just for half an hour, get a few more people in the chat room, get everyone talking about the show, and generate a bit more buzz. So we will be changing, 3:30 will be the new regular time going forward. And if you want to watch the football, you can listen to half an hour of nonsense and off you go. So there is that going forward. Back to the pleasantries. If you can't listen live, you do have the various options. We have iTunes, Stitcher, and of course now SoundCloud. You can call and text the show. I've been working on the phone line. Last week we had a bit of a nightmare when Junaid called in. I couldn't hear him. I made the wife sit in the other room last Sunday and we were phoning each other. Very, very ridiculous it was, but after about 10 minutes I realised it was an error on my end. I had not pressed a second button to allow the call to come through my soundboard. So error my end. Hopefully that's fixed now. So the number 07444 048 266. And if you're like Russ of the Dundee NFL podcast, who was texting me last week, and he sent me a message via Twitter at Zone Coverage FS saying, "Did you get my text, mate?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." And there's a screenshot. If you look through the Twitter feed, Russ had been texting a variety of choice words and banter, not to my number. So if you received a random text, that chances of finding this person are slim to none, in fairness. But if you received random text last week, then that was Russ, the wee man from at Dundee NFL. So please send any grievance sort of tweets towards Russ at Dundee NFL. So we had a bit of fun with that. Again, the number is 07444 048 266. And with this new number now, it is on one of the big mobile networks. So if you've got like 3 minutes, free texts, or inclusive, I should say, then it's just going to come out of them. It's not going to cost you a fortune. And if you are overseas, wherever you may be, you can also you can ring me via Skype, Tees Mister. That's TEECE Mister. Right, that is it. Tweet me, Zone Coverage FS. Talking of tweets, as always, Will Davies at Not Only a Hat Rack says, "Hey Mark, good luck with the show today. Not sure what you're going to talk about. Very, very slow news week." Yeah, I can ramble nonsense. We're 41 episodes in. We're already 5 minutes into this show. We haven't even done the pleasantries, so we will... we'll manage, don't worry, Will. Well, I'll figure something out. What I have figured out is a new name, Deflategate. It's driving me insane. I don't want to call it Deflategate anymore. Well, can we rename it Squishy Balls? How's that work? Squishy Balls? Got any takes on that? Hit me up in the chat room. Or good old what's it called? Twitter, @T-Smithster. That's my personal one. I've just given that out. Never mind. Zone Coverage FS. Right then, what do we have? Chat room's going as always. Terry, John's in there, Robert's in there, getting a bit of banter regarding the technical chaos last week. Everyone seems to be very well. A lot of going on in regards to the rookie camp and all this Deflategate nonsense. Mr. Brady did get his suspension, which we will talk about in a moment as part of the news. And again, as I said at the top of the show, we're going to have a look back now. Seems like forever ago since these new head coaches were brought in. Just if you are a new fan, in regards to the NFL, a bit of history on each sort of guy, really, how they started out their coaching career, what they did, like coaching in the college ranks, and the success and that they've had, and how they've got to the present situation within the NFL. So did a bit of research, sat down for a couple of hours, really, just going through each coach. So hopefully you guys shall enjoy that. It'll keep us going as we head in towards the depths of the off-season. We're nearly there, folks. We're one Sunday closer. So that is that, really. Yeah. Email address, if you want to drop me an email, you can do. Zone Coverage, footballshow@mail.com. The website. New thing on the website. I must tell you all about this. The new thing on the website, if you go to zonecoveragefootballshow.com, you'll notice now on the right-hand side, about halfway up the page, there's a little tab where you can leave the show a voicemail. So if you're a bit shy, or you just want to have a rant or whatever, you don't want to come on the show, you can just press that button and you can leave up to, I think it's up to a 3-minute voicemail. So if you've got any voicemails and stuff, anything you want to say, you don't want to come on the show but you want to leave one, feel free to do so. I will play them on the next show, whenever that may be. So that is that. Everything aside, we have a excellent renaming of Deflategate from John Cartwright via the chat room on the Spreaker app. It says he's renaming Deflategate Robert Kraft's Saggy Balls. So I don't know how did I don't know how you go from that into the news, but I do like that one. And yes, I will. I was going to bring this up. Robert's beat me to the punch on this one. The Pat's excuse about the two guys going back and forth on the text and saying apparently the deflator, that was in reference to losing weight. So how long, we're calling this now, mark this down, 17th of May, nearly 20 to 4, before the deflator has a fitness video out, either for Christmas or he has a book out and sponsored by the Pats. That is coming, the Deflate Way to Get Fit. That is on its way, let me tell you. And also the penalty. I do think the penalty, in fairness, was a little harsh. Oh, straight to the phone lines today. So I do believe this is Tom.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. How are you? Long time.
Hello.
It's been a long time since we spoke. How have you been? Oh, he's gone. He's clearly didn't want to speak. Anyway, we will try that again. We were. He's here again. So, Tom.
Hello, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good. I was just saying, how have you been? It's been ages since we spoke.
Yeah, I've been good, mate. Obviously, we had the big move in the new year, and that caused a few technical problems, and just been really working through those to get everything back on track for everything that we do. So it's been a horrendous start to the new year in that respect. But on a personal level, yeah, I'm pretty good. Just bobbing along as usual and, just waiting for that NFL season to start again.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've noticed on good old social media that you've been sort of relaxing a bit of family time and that during the off-season, so that's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be done. I mean, when you think of what we put into a season, and how from spending time with me at the NFL games, how crazy it gets during the season. So this is the opportunity to just calm down a little bit and spend time with the family, enjoy the summer, and count down until
we won't let
the next round of chaos starts for the.
Yeah,
Sarah.
I was just going to say I won't let your wife let my wife hear that. She says, "You're doing another show." I'm like, "Yeah, I got one more next week as well."
Yeah,
I'm getting away with murder, if I'm honest.
Well, I mean, like I say, I like to try and calm it down in the off season because, I mean, as you were saying at the top of the show, it is kind of a slow news time anyway.
Yeah.
So, it does make it a little bit difficult to dig out some of the stories. I'm lucky that we've got quite a good bunch of guys that we work with, so I don't have to do too much on that. And I mean, we're starting to get people contact us for stories as well now over from the States. So
that's cool.
our profile is starting to go up, and that's as a result making things a little bit easier for us. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. I'm like that same. Say searching for content today. I've been doing research. I've spent about 4 or 5 hours this week.
I cannot believe it, mate. As I say, it's been apart from rookie mini camps, there's not a great deal going on. And in all honesty, there's going to be no real amazing news out of rookie mini camps because they are what they are. Most of those players are fit and healthy because, well, they've passed their medical, haven't they? The only one who's not fit and healthy is the Jags' good old number one pick, as per usual.
Yeah, and that was some tragic news. How did that hit for you, obviously, with being a Jags fan?
To be honest, mate, it's kind of par for the course now. You look at Justin Blackman now, he's not panned out. Here's another one that's going to sit on the sidelines. Luke Jokel sat on the sidelines for almost a season. It's just unexpected now. It's like our draft picks are not going to play for their first year, it seems. Our number one draft picks. I mean, we're lucky Bortles got away with it last year, so... As I say, it's just one of those things now that you kind of just accept that our number one draft picks they're going to take a year off and we'll see him in the second year. So hopefully he'll really come good after his injury. And in the meantime, we'll just have to keep making some of those good moves that we have been making to try and strengthen up.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he's been very positive anti-Fowler since all this, and the Jags seem to have been very impressed by his sort of like positive attitude and outlook. He says he's going to come back stronger and better and stuff. So I suppose you've got to credit him for that.
Well, I think that's why Gus has taken him in round one. I think obviously they've met with the kid and they'll know a lot about him. And having met Gus Bradley and spoken to Gus Bradley myself and some of the other coaching staff, you get the impression that's what they want around the Jaguars. They don't want players that are coming in who've got negative attitudes. As much as some of the players that have been servants of the team have done what they've done in the years that they've played, he's made it very obvious that he's moved certain players on because they were perhaps not getting with the program. So he's going to always have players like that around because those are the kind of players that they're bringing into the team. So you wouldn't expect anything less, really. And he's a positive guy. You can sit there after the Jaguars have just got leathered like we did after the Dallas game, and you think, well, what's he so happy about?
Yeah.
But he just seems to air positivity, and he's kind of got his plan. But I mean, for Gus Bradley, I think this is a key season.
Yeah, definitely.
I really do think this will be a defining season. He's had 2 seasons now, and it's time that things started to change. You regressed a little bit last season. You need to improve significantly this season, or I think that may be the end of the Gus Bradley experiment.
Yeah, I think it's been mentioned a few times, hasn't it, between ourselves? I know a few of the other guys have mentioned in the chat room and stuff that the Bradley seems to be the seat's warming up, so to say, isn't it? It's simmering away.
The thing with it is everybody likes the guy, and I mean, when you speak to Neil Reynolds from NFL UK, when he speaks to him, he can't say how much of a charismatic guy he is, and how you kind of get caught up in what he's saying. And before I'd met Gus Bradley, I was like, yeah, really, they're all a bit like that. But you really do. You meet the guy, and he is. You believe what he's saying, and he captures your. You want him to do well, and you want to believe what he's saying, and you kind of get that feeling that he's going to achieve that, and then they have the season that they have, and you just think, oh, well, really? But I think Blake Bortles as a second-year quarterback, you'll probably see a stark difference in him. I mean, he's another one that was very disappointed after games last season. I mean, again, going back to that Dallas press conference after the game in Wembley, he wasn't a very happy man, so he'll be working hard to improve. He knows he's the starter now, so he's not got to worry about competing and trying to find his way into the team. I think they can really work over the summer on building that offense around him, but as long as that O-line can protect him, we're in with a shout. I mean, he showed that in so many games last season, And you look at 3 or 4 of those games last season, and they really were close-run things. A couple of plays went a different way in the fourth quarter, and you'd have had a different result. So we're kind of getting there. They just need to execute more, and some of the silly errors need to stop. And I think we might find, if we're lucky, we get an 8-8 record this season, and I'd be happy with that as a progression on to looking for a winning record next season.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, the arrow is pointing upwards, isn't it? Bottle's into his second year now. There was an article a few weeks back where he admitted suffering from a bit of fatigue after going through like the combine and all that, and then straight into camp. So hopefully another good off-season should put him in good stead.
Well, this is it. And I mean, he's not working with, all young guys this season. When you think, look at what Alan Hearns achieved as a low-round pick.
Yeah.
And, that was his first season. Again, he'll be a little bit more savvy this season. He'll have learned a few things by playing. You look at Ace Sanders, who's coming on now, the third year. I mean, these are the guys that are lower down the pecking order. Then, you've seen that Julius Thomas has come in from Denver. He's been playing with Peyton Manning, and he'll bring a lot to that offense, a lot of changes, a lot of information, and he'll probably be able to show Bortles a few of the ways. Well, this is kind of how Manning did it. This is how Manning, and that's really what you're looking for. If you're looking for someone for him to get tips from, someone who's been playing with Peyton Manning isn't entirely a bad thing. So, as I say, it could be worse. It could be someone who's been playing with Tom Brady. But you've just got to You've just got to crack on, haven't you, and hope that as an offensive unit they improve and that the defense can continue to do what they do as well. So we'll see. It's an interesting time to be a Jaguars fan, I think.
What's your sort of take then on the backfield? Because you took TJ Yeldon this year's draft. Gerhardt, as we all know, struggled last year. Storm Johnson sort of burst on. He had showed flashes towards the end of the season. You've also acquired Bernard Pierce. So who's going to win that job?
I don't think there's going to be anyone winner. I think it's going to be like last season. Denard Robinson was the surprise package last year, I'd say, from going from being determined an offensive weapon to originally he was going to be a wide receiver. Then I spoke to him last summer. He was actually over in Britain at the Westfield Centre promoting, and I went down and spoke to him and John Cyprian, and we did something for the magazine with those guys. And I was speaking to Denard Robinson. He was saying about converting to running back, and I was talking to him a lot about the different challenges that face a running back. And I was kind of listening to him, and I was a little bit sceptical. I think maybe he could see that I was a little bit sceptical because he kept trying to reinforce that he was ready, he was big enough, he was strong enough. And I was kind of looking at him thinking, I don't think you're necessarily robust enough to take some of these hits from the defenders, but boy did he prove us wrong. He had a couple of really good games, and the good thing about that was there were things that I went back to that interview from during that later part of the season. I was like, great, we've got some great material here with a player that's kind of hot at the moment. So that really worked out for us, but I'm really glad it worked out for Denard Robinson as well, because he had great belief in his own abilities. And I kept asking him, Gerhardt's there. He's clearly going to be the number one. How are you going to break into that team? How are you going to get through it? And his answer was just, I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to show the coaches I'm ready, and I'll get plays. And when I get plays, I'll execute and show that I'm better.
And he certainly
did. And you just can't. Well, absolutely. As I say, I was kind of sceptical. I was sat there thinking, yeah, of course you will. This guy's been backing up Adrian Peterson. Like, you really are, sort of, for want of a better word, pissing in the wind. But boy, did he prove me wrong, and boy, did that turn out to be a surprise for everyone. I don't think any of the defenses expected when Denard Robinson was coming in how good he would be. So it was a nice surprise, and I think he'll have a lot more respect from the coaching staff as a result of that. He'll be a little bit higher up the depth chart. So I think I don't think there's going to be an element of anyone taking the lead to begin with. I think it's going to be they'll all get reps, and we'll see who proves themselves again. And competition is obviously a healthy thing for any position.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that unfold. But we really do need to get that running game going if we're going to get Bortles to be effective, because no running game, no play action pass, really no offense. So, we really do need to get that ground game to start providing fruit. And I'm hopeful that that's going to be the case this year. I was very hopeful about Toby Gerhardt, and, that kind of hasn't panned out
Yeah, I think there's
but
quite a few
hopefully
people
we'll do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Gerhardt's done quite a few people fantasy football-wise. We all saw him move, and everyone's like, yes, take him.
Yeah.
And, as we know, that did not pan out.
No, not at all. That was a complete bust. And I mean, I don't think anyone around media-wise and pundits-wise, if I look back over the season, we certainly didn't. Everybody was kind of saying, this guy's going to be, 1,000-plus yard running back. No, nobody was predicting that he just wouldn't be able to get the job done. So, even everyone in the media, everything that was known about him, all the scouting information that you get, everything that everybody knows was all pointing towards Gerhardt having a really good season and really getting things done. And you just kind of think, well, how did everybody get it so wrong?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the system that he's in. Maybe, he did a decent job backing up Adrian Peterson in a different offense. Maybe this offense just doesn't suit his style of play. So, good luck to him in his move on, and hopefully he'll find a little bit of success somewhere else. I mean, when I spoke to Gerhardt on a personal level, he's a great guy. He's very, very articulate and a nice bloke to talk to. So I don't wish him any bad harm. You know what I mean? I just hope that he can find something that fits him better.
Yeah, you never know. Like I say, it just didn't work out. That O-line's been much improved since as well. So,
well, this is it. I mean, that's always been an element with the Jaguars. That's why Blaine Gabbert struggled, in honesty, because the O-line collapsed and, he was terrified of being hit all the time. You look at Chad Henne, he couldn't really... I'd never rated... I've been vocal and I've never rated Chad Henne. I didn't rate Chad Henne when he was in Miami, and I didn't rate him when he was at Jacksonville. But the O-line, again, doesn't help if you're in continual fear that your O-line is porous and that people are going to get through and hit you. You're going to release the ball quicker. You're going to snatch the ball. All these things are going to have impacts on your game, and it certainly did for Henne as well as Gabbert. And I think Bortles felt the full force of some defences last year. So hopefully that O-line has improved a bit to give him the protection that he needs to be able to go through his progressions, and for us to build a reasonable running game, as I say, to set up the play action, to allow us to play some of the deception plays that I know we can play, and that on occasion have worked. We've seen some pretty good trick plays deployed by Gus Bradley, and when they've worked, they've been great. And if he gets a strong O-line, he'll have the opportunity to do that a little bit more. And for all of us watching the game, even if you're a neutral at Wembley and you're seeing that kind of stuff, that's exciting football, and that's what you want to see.
Yeah, I'm all for the trick plays. One of my favourite ones last year was that Rams Seahawks. That on that punt deep in their own territory, went fake punt, fantastic.
Yeah,
love it. I can't beat that. Yeah. Bit of balls, bit of bravery.
The one I liked the best was the Browns one, where Hoyer was in the huddle and Manziel was stood over at the sideline just chatting away to the coach, and then as soon as the ball snapped, he just bolted down the sideline with no defender there. I thought that was quite a unique way of going about it. So I like that.
Moving away from the Jags a little bit, this is the main talk at the moment. What did you think about a certain Mr. Kraft's saggy balls, as we've renamed it?
To be honest with you, mate, I mean, it's not in the spirit of the game, is it? I was talking to someone the other day about it, and they were asking me, they were complete novices in terms of the game. They know the game exists, but don't really follow anything. They were saying, it's all over the news, what's going on, and I kind of said, well, they're inflated to a certain standard. And they were kind of saying, how have they got away with it? Surely the other team could feel the difference. I was like, well, not necessarily. There are rules in place about what balls are provided to who and so on and so forth. I said, and they were like, but why would deflating a ball change? And I just think it's, I explained it'll change the flight. It'll change the way the quarterback holds the ball. It changes a lot of things. And I said, but ultimately what everybody's really annoyed about is that sport's supposed to be played competitively but fair, and the Patriots are consistently showing that they're not playing fair. When you look back to them videotaping other teams' Friday practices to see their first 15-play walkthrough, now we're moving on to that you're deflating balls so that you get an advantage. I mean, if you can't win fairly, then you're not winning, are you? I mean, This Super Bowl will forever be tarnished by the fact that they cheated. And you can say that you're Super Bowl champs all you want, but I mean, when that line gets trotted out on TV, there's going to be a lot of people shouting at their TV next season. So,
Yeah,
all they're
definitely.
doing ultimately is harming themselves. And I kind of thought, with the taping of the Friday practices, that's down to the coaching staff. I kind of thought Brady'd have a bit more about him to not be involved in any of that sort of stuff. But, my estimation of Tom Brady's gone down quite considerably since I did an article on him a couple of seasons ago about how he made it into the NFL. He's a guy that, to actually get to where he is, has had to work hard. He wasn't the first choice quarterback by a long shot, both in college and in the NFL. He's worked hard and surprised a lot of people, and he's kind of just let himself down, I think. And
Nice pun. Let himself down.
well, he has, hasn't he? He'll forever be remembered for this now, as opposed to what he's achieved.
Very true.
And when he's trotting out the line that I've won more Super Bowls than Peyton Manning, people will say, "Yeah, and you cheated to get him."
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He'll never be able to really live up the kudos that he was trying to find, and that's a real shame for him. And I think ultimately, probably once he's retired a few years, we'll probably get some memoirs out, and he'll probably really regret being involved in this. But I really don't understand the game ban.
Do you reckon the punishment's harsh? I was a bit annoyed by it, to be honest. I thought it was a bit much when you compare it to what happened to the Saints and Bounty Gate.
Well, this is it.
And the pumping and the noise with the Falcons, and we've got the Browns.
If you actually look at, there's just the problem with it seems with the NFL, there doesn't seem to be any consistency now with the punishments that are handed out. Goodell just seems to pick a number from the air and do whatever it feels like.
Yeah.
You smack your misses around and you get banned for 2 games. You deflate some balls and you're out for 5.
Yeah, it's
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no consistency. He just needs to wipe the slate and say, right, from this day forth, this is how it is. Not you were banned here, then this was in place. It's like a line under it all. Make a statement out, and from the beginning of this year or when the camps start, this is it now. Anything happens, we're coming down on you like a ton of bricks. And then if everyone knows that they're going to hit hard, then maybe it'll stop with all the nonsense.
I think personally they just need to get some sort of committee together to assess. I mean, they obviously have hearings for various offences. That committee needs to just have a set of offences, just like you would with any other crimes where they're in different classes, and whatever class it's in leads to a certain standard length of punishment or fixed penalty fine of so many $1,000 or $100,000, and so that it's a case of, and also a strike system. First strike, you get caught and you're going to get punished this amount in, say, class 3. The second time you're caught, it's double. The third time you're caught, it's triple that punishment.
Yeah.
So that the more you do it, the more harsh your punishment's going to be. And possibly even a 3 strike and you're out. Third time, and that's you done for life. You're not playing our game. We're not interested in you cheating all the time.
That's a good idea, yeah. But the annoying thing is, they do that with the drugs, isn't it? They're performance-enhancing drugs. If you get caught once, you go on a program, game ban. Yeah. So they've got a system in place. It just needs broadening. It's not rocket science.
It just seems to be that when Goodell fancies, he just arbitrarily hands out whatever he feels like, whatever number. He must wake up in the morning and think, I think I'll hand out 3 games for that, and just goes to work and hands out a 3-game ban instead of really having any consistency and proposing some sort of system where you go, that's in line with the system, and all the fans can go, that's okay. And so in one sense, as I say, going back to the Ray Rice stuff, that initial ban, everybody goes, whoa, that's far too lenient. But then the vice versa is, because he was lenient there, he's now been much more harsher with Brady, and everyone's going, whoa, that's far too heavy. So,
they never addressed it, did they, back then? At all.
And that was really, they came out with their policy, you get caught the first time, you'll get banned for it, you get caught a second time, and that's a lifetime ban. And they kind of half-arsed it because of media pressure. They really needed to just, this summer, in the league owners meeting, they really needed to hash out a proper discipline system whereby the punishments are clear for everyone to see and they're consistent and can be followed as a guideline. Put them out in the public area and just say, look, this is how we're going to deal with things from now on. And if you don't like it, easy thing to do is just not play in the NFL, go and play in the CFL or some other football league somewhere else.
I've been hearing random theories as well that the NFL sort of builds up its own hype and sort of drag these things out so it's at the forefront of everyone's mind. Do you reckon that there's something to
Yeah, of course
that?
there is. I mean, at the moment, what have we got on TV? There's the basketball playoffs in college.
Ice hockey.
And there's ice hockey on, and
baseball season
Major League Baseball. So they've kind of got to keep their product in the news somehow. And as we've been saying,
it's top of everything, isn't it?
The thing is, we've been saying it's a slow news time at the moment. There's not a great deal to report. So how do you keep yourself in the news? The one scandalous thing that you can keep in the news, you keep in the news. So maybe there is an element of trying to play these things out and manipulate the media a little bit to try and keep your product at the top of the billing. But I mean, ultimately, working with the guys at NFL UK the way we do, that it's not sort of a culture of the business to be really trying to promote the game in a bad way, but I think sometimes it's just a few bad decisions over in the States lead to things being serialised a little bit more than they need to be. And as a result, that they kind of keep their product in the news, and maybe they just think, well, it's the old saying, isn't it? Yeah. No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah, I think there'd be a fair argument for the other way of that.
Well, as I say, it's all crazy. It is crazy the way things pan out.
But I mean, you see, like you say, me and Twitter don't bond that well, and you can go on there some days, and it's just bedlam. It's absolute madness.
I think that's one of the great things about the game as well. Now you look at the social media interaction. I mean, you have your fair amount of crazy people that I've got no grasp on reality, but they certainly do. It certainly does whip up a storm amongst fans, like we've never seen before. So, again, the opinions out there, and you can go and find it, and it is just absolutely. Twitter itself can be crazy, like especially when you see some of the things that people write on there. It's like, would you say that to someone in person? You probably wouldn't.
No, hell
you
no.
need to calm down.
Right then, Tom, we'll go full circle. You mentioned Huddle a couple of times, a bit of quiet time. What's in the pipelines then during the off season and before we get back into the
next
madness
issue's going to be out mid-June, so we're moving from publishing at the end of the month to mid-June. As I said, we kind of had a bit of chaos in moving. We've relocated from Scotland to the south of England, kind of closer to the NFL themselves, closer to the Wembley games, closer to everything that seems to go on in this country, NFL related. So in doing that, the technology didn't take, and that's kind of caused us to crash for a few months. So we've had to rebuild everything. The only thing that was left was the website, and that's only because it was held on an independent server. So we've literally had to rebuild everything from scratch, reinstall everything. In terms of the look and feel of the magazine, thankfully, there are copies out there print-wise that I keep a copy for myself of most issues. So I've kind of had to go back to the drawing board, get the design guys to get it all looking the way it did look so that we're ready to publish again. And we're kind of finding our way back to our feet again. And in terms of business-wise, it's been a disaster because... when we're just things were really picking up for us, we've kind of just stopped and had to take a hiatus, and that means we need to hit the season hard again, and we kind of lost the season, I think, in doing that. But ultimately, I think this move will bear us more fruit, and it will benefit us a little bit more. The good thing about rebuilding is we've looked at the way the website is. We're going to have another evolution of the website coming probably just before the start of the season. We're going to be working with Amazon as well as PayPal. So there are a few people out there who don't like the way PayPal do things, but have an Amazon account. So you'll be able to pay us with your Amazon account.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be integrating with them, which should hopefully, if everything goes to plan, should also push our product onto Amazon as well. So it's a kind of two-way thing. You'll be able to pay us using your Amazon account on our website, but also our product should feature on Amazon when people search for NFL-related things there. So that'll be good for us.
Awesome stuff.
A good move forward. We've got an iOS app kind of 60% done now.
I was going to say that's been a bane of your life for
I actually had the app done and ready to go, and we submitted it to Apple, and then they made some tweaks to their operating software, and that meant that our subscription button stopped working.
Oh.
So we've kind of the way that magazines are starting to deliver content through Apple devices has changed. In the way you download the magazine now in a PDF format within apps now.
Yeah.
A lot of the larger media organisations are not doing that. They're creating a dedicated version of their publication for the iOS devices, so that it looks just it kind of looks like a web page, but it still has all your articles still laid out with the pictures and so forth, and bit of your branding and stuff. So we've kind of gone back to the drawing board and said, look, if this is the way the big guys are going, this is clearly the future. They do the research, and they spend millions on marketing. If this is what consumers are wanting, then really we need to be jumping on that bandwagon. So let's shelve what we've done and start again. And that's what we've done. Because of this technology issue, we've kind of just gone, well, we'll start again, and we'll get this up the way we need it to be. So I'm hoping for the season that'll be ready and approved by Apple. And if that's the case, we'll be sat in the Apple newsstand as well as selling through our own website, which will be great. Obviously, exposure-wise, you can't get a bigger audience. A bigger audience. So, things are developing.
Yeah, after the downtime, then things should be back with a bang, so to say.
Yeah, and as I say, the next issue will be mid-June. That's going to be in the around 32 section, which is a page dedicated to every team, every issue. That will be looking at the free agency and draft moves of each team, just to see where things sit in terms of what your team's done in letting players go and bringing players in.
Yeah.
The feature article will be the 50 biggest draft busts off the back of the draft.
I would imagine a certain Vernon Goldston for the Jets with his high up logo rankings.
He'll be in there, and a few others. There might be a Mr. Tebow in there somewhere, but as I say, it's like the 50 biggest busts of all time of the draft. We're probably going to run. We kind of did a little bit of research into the draft, pre-draft, and the article didn't make it. The evolution of the draft, how it really all started, because that was quite an interesting story. And I mean, it really just started as like a backroom meeting in a hotel amongst the owners and grew crazily. So, I mean, that's quite an interesting read. And Matt Phillips, I know you talked to Matt quite a lot. Matt will be straight back onto looking at next year's prospects already. So, I mean, by mid-June, the draft's, minicamp's not even done. The draft's not even a month old, and Matt will already be looking at next year's prospects and who he should start to be looking at when the college season kicks off. Because, as you know, Matt writes all of our college section now. He does both the feature, the team profiles, and does the scouts take. So Matt's really heavily involved in doing that for us. And we've got a couple of other guys on board who are going to be putting some stuff in. We're open to fans sending us stuff this season. Last season, I was contacted by a fan who was going out to USC to go watch a game, and I kind of said to him, write me an experience piece. Tell me, write about how it felt, where, what you did, all that sort of stuff. It's come back, it reads really well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking that's possibly a way to go, and we're going to try and promote a bit more of the British game as well, and try and get some team profiles of the British teams. I've been contacted by a couple of teams over the summer that I'm going to get back to and just sort of say, look, do you want to up your profile, and let's do it. And we'll probably maybe stick a page, 2 pages in there, and promote the British game a little bit while we're bobbing along. And I'm sure we'll be working with our friends over at New Ola again, who we work with them every year to promote the NFL and promote what they do. They're heavily involved in flag football, so there'll be something in there from them, I would have thought.
Wow,
so,
busy.
It's another bright season ahead and another busy season ahead. But as I said to you at the top of the show, that's why, I kind of set this time to just lay off a little bit and jump into that. And just to add fuel to the fire, I'm expecting a baby around about the end of September.
Wow,
so,
congrats.
Well, yeah, cheers for that. But so, as I say, as if the pressure wasn't on enough, we'll just throw that into the mix and see how that pans out.
Yeah,
but,
wow, that's going to be madness.
Well, this is it. But as I say, it'll be interesting, and we'll see how we get on. But I'm sure it'll be another successful season, and hopefully we'll be able to continue as we did last season with yourself.
Definitely. I look forward to you bringing us the news of
week in, week
baby
out,
changing as we go. Yeah.
Yeah, and
awesome stuff.
The other thing that we're looking at, we're kind of looking at some of the content that we do online. We'll be bringing some unique online content in terms of written articles, but also we're looking at doing possibly a Monday evening, Tuesday morning video blog in terms of a kind of roundup of each week. So that should be kind of interesting, where I put my ugly mug in front of a camera and sit and talk about NFL for around about 30 to 45 minutes.
Hence the reason why I'm on the radio. This mug does not need to see the light of day.
I'm just hoping that as the season goes on, we can develop that format, and kind of once I'm down at the media days and stuff for the practices when it comes to the games in Wembley, that we can kind of get down there, get player interviews, develop that format, and hopefully across the season, the plan ultimately will be then to put a section in the app so that the videos can be watched in the app as well. And there's kind of a strategy there to start delivering more free online content to encourage people to see what we do and sort of get involved with paying for some of the premium stuff that we put into the magazine.
And I thought you said you had some downtime. Sounds like you've been very busy, if I'm honest.
Well, we're busy planning and busy furiously. I have a book that I kind of to-do book that keeps me in check. And
I've got 4 of them here now.
I'm busy. I kind of had a little book, and I've now got an A4 size book, and I'm kind of planning, even at this stage, there's a rough draft of what every issue of the season's going to kind of entail. And obviously that'll chop and change as time goes on, because as stories break, as things change, you kind of slot things out and put things in. But already it's kind of, this is how all of this is going to fit into this jigsaw, and hopefully it'll all work. And I say hopefully, but the best laid plans sometimes don't go to plan. But the iOS app is the absolute bane of my life, and the sooner it's done, the better, and then I can just stop. But then the problem with that is the minute you develop an iOS app, everyone who's got an Android phone goes, "Where's our app?"
Oh yeah, I feel you might be digging a hole for yourself here.
Yeah, exactly. So I've already looked into what we need to do to follow it up with an Android app. But considering how long it's took to do an iOS app, it could be a few months after the iOS app is published that an Android one appears as well. But that's not because I have any other personal preference other than I have an iPhone and an iPad to be able to test the app on. And, you've got to get it through the Apple testing. So once Apple approve it, it's kind of just converting it then to Android, whose rules are a little bit more relaxed, to be honest, than Apple's, mainly about how they collect their money. But that's Apple for you.
Yeah, I can imagine it's difficult, to say the very least.
Yeah, I mean, even to the point where, sometimes, like, when we put ads in for you guys, like, obviously people can click on your advert that's been placed with us, or any company places with us, and it takes them through to the website of the organisation. Apple don't want that.
Oh.
Apple.
Oh no, they don't. They keep everything in house.
If you want to purchase, for example, our subscriptions, where sometimes we'll put our own advert in to say, if you bought this as a single issue, buy a 6-month subscription or buy a season pass, they don't want that advert in there at all. You can only buy what is available in their own purchasing system. So this is another reason that we're kind of moving across to, we thought it'd be quite easy that if we kept everything in the one format, we could just publish what we publish on the web and what we print into Apple's device and keep it very simple. But the reality of that has become that that's not going to be the case, that they want their own specific content and they want certain things pulling out. So we might as well just have an iPhone version or an iPad version that doesn't include those things. And frankly, we might stand a chance of passing it through Apple's stringent conditions if we do that. So again, without boring all of the listeners too much about the technology side of things, it is crazy, but hopefully, one of the aspirations that we've got in there to put in the app is a chat feature where week by week people will be able to just go on and chat away the same way that they do on the speaker app for you. They'll be able to do that during game time with each other. And you literally log in using your Facebook or Twitter. It puts your name up, that's your name on Facebook or Twitter. It draws your photo from your profile. So, there's no registering. There's no us taking your details. We won't be marketing to you if you log on, and obviously during the game you'll see the odd advert pop up while you're chatting, because we'd be fools not to advertise while people are chatting. But you won't be receiving any dodgy tweets or dodgy Facebook information from us, because we don't log any of that. The login system's through a secure third party. It goes through Twitter or Facebook's own servers to log you in. So we don't get any of the information on the chat section of the app. And you just chat away like you would with anyone else, and there'll kind of be a warning there as you enter the room that'll pop up and say, look, this is a no holds barred, robust conversation, and any language that's expressed here isn't the view of us, but try and be polite.
Yeah. I can vouch for the guys that come in our chat room every week. It's been brilliant. One of I think it was John that was sort of championing it at the beginning, get more people in there. We seem to build up every week. We had new guys in the last week, and everyone, as soon as I click record on the show or go, you're there straight away. Afternoon, and it's a shame because when I'm doing the show, you're sort of concentrating on stuff, and I can't scroll back and type away. I can't do two things at once, basically. I'm a man. You know how it is. So there's some great chat that goes on in there every week, and I go back after the show and read through it, and it's like, wow, it's just good fun. Everyone gets on, good banter, and there's some good jokes in there as well. So.
The thing I thought was, we kind of sit on Twitter every week, and it's by and large, it's me who sits on Twitter every week, and I watch the Jaguars game and, discuss the other games with people, and, I thought it'd be kind of nice to have something that flows a little bit better, because a chat app does flow as a better conversation than you're ever going to find that Twitter does, because the nature of Twitter and the restrictive characters means that people struggle to get all of their point across. So it's something that aspirationally that it started at the beginning of last season, where I thought, we can do better than this, and we could have a proper conversation going on, and it really will engage people. And I think by putting it in our own app to do that, the more people share the app and say, look, come and chat to me, and you just log in with your Facebook, the more people will download our app. Obviously, that gets our product seen as well, which is great news for me. But also on a Sunday night, it's not so much of an effort to get the conversation flowing, and it's not so much of an effort to interact with the people that do want to talk with you and do want to chat about the games. So I think it'll be like you've said with yours, it'll be a slow burner to begin with, but hopefully as the season goes on and as word gets out there that this is kind of the place to just chit chat on a Sunday night about games, no holds barred, no one's advertising too much to you, no one's taking your details and marketing to you. You just get on there, chat about whatever, and everybody has a good time. Then hopefully that'll mean that it'll grow, and we'll really start to see, like you're saying, a really good conversation flowing, and that'll be cool, because as you've said, I won't have a show to concentrate on, so I can actually sit and, as Huddle Magazine, log in and we can sit and chat as our I could log in with my personal Twitter if I want, or I can log in with the magazine's Twitter, and we can kind of moderate the discussion and kind of drive people, ask opinions and stuff. I think it'll be a unique way of doing things, and we'll see how that pans out. I think it'll be quite good. I think it'll be particularly cool when we're at the Wembley game. Yeah. Because that'll be a kind of, everyone will be watching sort of thing, but you kind of sat there in the media area, and as you know, when you were there with me, like, you kind of get little tidbits of information, that come through before they go out on TV. So that opportunity to get that out straight away, real time, to everyone who's, kind of conversating with you, will be quite interesting to see how that has an impact on whether by the second or third game, how many more people are joining the chat app. So, interesting times.
Yeah,
lots of work ahead.
It is. Tom, it's been a pleasure, buddy. It's been a while since we've caught up.
Yeah, hence the nigh on 45-minute phone call.
Yeah, 45 minutes. We were struggling for content. There's 45 minutes done.
Well, there you go. It's probably a good time. It probably left it leaving it a few months has probably ended up being a nice little segue for you in terms of dealing with a slow news day.
Yeah, that's it. That's another excuse for me to whack out another show. The wife will be chuffed a bit.
Yeah, she'll be hating me by the time it gets round to the Wembley games.
Oh dear. Right, buddy.
Hopefully, we'll be able to do the Wembley game again. I think that's probably, for my money, and my missus Leslie agrees. Like, she listened to us at Wembley, and she says that's one of the best shows she's listened to. So hopefully, we'll be able to do that again.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that. Should be good fun. Fingers crossed we can get that.
But yeah, as I say, mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll have to do it again soon.
Yeah.
But the final thoughts really for me is to everyone who's listening to get over to huddlemagazine.com.
Yeah.
Have a look at what we're doing over there. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, at Huddle Magazine on Twitter, or Facebook/Huddle Magazine UK on Facebook. And as I say, exciting times ahead, and hopefully we'll be able to keep people engaged and keep building on what we've been doing so far, and hopefully people will enjoy what we're doing as much as they have been.
Awesome. And like you say, it's been rebuilt from the ground, so onwards and upwards then for Huddle.
Exactly. I've learned a valuable lesson in backing up information in more than one location. So, hard lessons learned, but we're definitely getting there, and I think it's I don't want to be too cliche, but I think we'll come back a lot stronger.
Yeah, brilliant. Sorry, I was sort of reading it. There's some questions going on in the chat room, man. Here's one for you before you go, Tom.
Okay.
Question. This comes from John. It says, who's the biggest certainty to make the playoffs this year? Everyone's sort of kissing their Green Bay Packers into the Super Bowl, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Packers are, and can you really say that the Seahawks are not going to make the playoffs? I think more interestingly, it's I think you need to kind of be looking for, if you're looking for sort of who's going to progress more, I think looking at what's happening over at the Eagles will be quite interesting to see how that develops, whether it really will develop into what, in the media, we kind of think that Chip Kelly's he's got the Midas touch and that they'll progress on from where they came into the playoffs. And it'd be interesting just to see whether that is the case, or, the Cowboys run them quite close last season. So will the Cowboys, they've lost their running back, but according to Jerry Jones the other day, the Cowboys running offense is stronger than it's ever been.
So it's delusional, isn't it?
Well, this is it. It's kind of who's going to take the step back. Is it going to be the Cowboys going to take a step back? Are the Eagles going to take a step back, or actually are the Eagles going to kick on and push on and maybe? I'd
say the Giants sneaky team this year.
Yeah, I think I said it last season, didn't I? When they were struggling a little bit, and I've said it before that people really underestimate Tom Coughlin, and I know Tom Coughlin very well from his time at the Jaguars. And if you've got access to the NFL Now app, or you've got Game Pass and you can go and watch A Football Life, go and watch the Tom Coughlin episodes and look at what Tom Coughlin's achieved with how he goes about the way that he does things. Very inspirational, a really good coach, and it never put anything past Coughlin. And look at the draft pick of Odell Beckham Jr., how that's panned out right now.
Yeah, very true.
Last year I was telling you the Jets were going to pick Odell Beckham Jr. I bet you wish you had now.
I don't think it would have mattered, to be honest. You still would have gone 4-12. We would have
I think you would, but look at the player that you would have for the future,
very true. Going forward, bigger picture.
Yeah, and as I say, I really do think, I agree with you there. I think the Giants are going to be a much improved team this season, so it'll be interesting to see how everything does pan out. But I think the dog barking. Sorry, it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. But I think the Seahawks, the Packers, they're kind of locks for the playoffs. How much Denver are going to drop off will be another interesting thing to look at.
Yeah, I can see the Chiefs will win the West. Chiefs, Chargers. I'd like to see the Broncos drop off. Raiders are going to be improving.
This is it. It's.
I can see the Lions falling back.
Yeah, and as much as I liked talking to Matt Stafford when we were at Wembley, Yeah, I mean,
Cordwell doesn't
I kind of
excite me.
want the Lions to do okay, but in another sense, I just think they're going in the wrong direction. They're just going about things the wrong way. So, yeah, as I say, to answer the question, I think the Packers are pretty much a lock. I'd say the Seahawks are pretty much a lock. AFC wise, I think I'd be surprised not to see, as you say, the Chargers in there. I mean, looking over at the north, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals, you've got to say that one of the two of them is going to be in there. So, interesting. I mean, again, the Browns are another one that I just don't think. I think they're just going to have pretty much a similar season to last season. There's going to be a lot of hype pre-season. They're going to do a little bit, but just ultimately not enough.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Again, North's going to be tough, isn't it? Well, both NFC and the AFC North.
I mean, the Colts are a lock for the playoffs.
Texans are interesting. Jags and the Titans are better than they were.
The Texans, don't get me wrong, they'll give them a close run thing, but I think the Colts will pretty much tie up the AFC South quite easily. And that really does annoy me because I hate the Colts. But, as much as that is the case, I think they're another one that we'll see in the playoffs. So, it's a long road and you don't know. A couple of injuries change everything.
Very true.
A lot of teams know. So, we're saying these teams are a lock. Aaron Rodgers goes down for the season, and do the Packers make the playoffs?
No, the Vikings do.
This is it. So, it could all change depending on what happens during the season. And there's always, as the Chiefs were a couple of seasons ago, there's always going to be that team that surprises everybody and goes on the rampage. I think the Cardinals will come back much stronger again this year. I really feel for Cardinals fans.
Yeah.
to be in that division, to have commanded it the way you did, to get to the end of the season and lose two quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, it's a tough way to go into it. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, to do all the hard work, lose the quarterbacks when they did, and then not really, they didn't really get a fair shout at that playoff game because, the guy that they've got under center is just not really up to the standard. He's a third-string quarterback playing in really what you want your first-string quarterback to be playing, and it's a tough time for them. And I think they'll bounce back, and I think we'll probably see them challenging up at the top of that division again.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Seahawks, you should run away with it. Rams are going to be interesting as well. 49ers. Yeah. 49ers, are we writing them? Are we doing with the 49ers this year what everyone did with the Cowboys last year? We wrote them off, and everyone seems to be writing the 49ers off. Could that return to Hortons?
I don't know. I mean,
Kaepernick's got to come back, hasn't he? He's got to.
Yeah, as I say, it's one of those things as well. Certain teams like the 49ers have been quite quiet so far the off-season, I think. And it's always pretty dangerous to start making predictions on teams like that because, the Cowboys were uncharacteristically for Jerry Jones. The Cowboys were like that last season. And you kind of make your predictions thinking, oh, well, this is kind of what's happened. And we've had a little bit of insight. And then because you've not seen the whole picture, because they have kept things fairly quiet, they've gone about their business, they jump out and you think, ooh, where's that come from?
Yeah.
So it could be quite interesting to see what they're doing. But again, ultimately, I think they'll probably liven up a little bit as the off season goes on, and we'll maybe get a bit more of a read on what's going on at the 49ers. But ultimately, it's the same as any other season, isn't it? Where every fan thinks that their team's going to get to the playoffs at the beginning of the season. Ultimately, some of us will have to have a little bit of a reality check by week 4.
By week 4, yeah.
So, we were all there last season. Yeah, we're all going to make the playoffs. Well, actually, not everyone can. And then by week 4, certain teams, like my team, were going, yeah, we're not making the playoffs. Yeah. So,
next year.
it will be interesting to see who does make the playoffs and who does sneak up. I mean, again, the NFC South is going to be an interesting division, with the Panthers. If Cam Newton is as fit as he can be, the Falcons are obviously rebuilding now under a new regime, and, the Saints are still looking to push themselves on. So, again, that's another division that will be interesting to see how it plays out. A division that we all thought would be quite strong last season and ultimately ended up being one of the weaker divisions, and their team really sneaking into the playoffs with quite a poor record. So, there needs to be quite a bit of progression, I think, in the NFC South for one of those teams to kick on and perhaps do a little bit more in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's one of the harder divisions to sort of predict. Like you say, it was miserable last year, tough viewing. In fairness, it can't be. They're on about it in the chat room now, saying it can't be as bad as last year. So
no, you've got to think that someone's going to take a grasp of that division and try and take it by the scruff of the neck. But ultimately, I think it's a sign of the fact that the teams were beating each other is kind of a sign of the competitiveness of the division, where, you might say it was tough viewing at times, but ultimately it was quite an even division, and the teams were each taking games off each other to kind of keep it open right till the end of the season. So, I mean, in terms of what the NFL would want competition-wise, that's probably ideal for them because it keeps fans interested right till the end. But for a neutral viewer, I mean, that game at Wembley, it was great to have 20 scoring points in the first half and 20 in the second half, but it had been a bit nice if it had been an exchange between the teams instead of one team building up a 20-point lead and then the other team chipping away at it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So, I mean, obviously, Detroit being from the north and the Falcons being from the south, we're not talking about interdivisional, but I mean, when you look at that game as a barometer of what was supposed to be one of the better teams in the NFC South, a team building up a 20-point lead and shutting out a team for the first half to then give up 21 points and lose the game, it was just incredible. I mean, it was great for us sitting there. I enjoyed every minute of it, but it was one of those where it would have been much more enjoyable if we'd seen the two teams go and battle it out and it be an exchange. And, if that scoreline had been the same scoreline, but there'd have been an exchange of points in each half, I think it'd have been a much more interesting game. And hopefully, when Detroit come back this year, there'll be a bit more of a exchange of points and a bit more of a thrilling game for the fans, and hopefully Calvin Johnson will play this year as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I was gutted they didn't get to see him live.
Yeah, well, the pair of us were, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I think about the closest we got to him was, did he walk past us in the tunnel?
He did
at
come
some
past
point?
us, yeah, and I was like the ultimate fanboy. I went for message the wife that he walked past me, and I text you.
yeah, that was that. As I say, I think that was about the close we got. I mean, when he was running around, he looked as though he was good to go. We were all for him. And then when Channel 4 broke the news that he wasn't playing, that we were quite shocked because when they broke that news, we were sat obviously doing the show in the media area, and he was running around on the field right in front of us.
He was on the field catching the balls and everything, wasn't he?
Yeah, we were like, that's interesting because we can see him right now throwing balls around, but they got their information and they got their information correct. So, hopefully this season he'll be fit because, I want to see him play at Wembley. And I think every other UK fan that goes to that game, be they a Detroit fan or be they a neutral, they want to see the top players play. And ultimately he is one of the top players, and it'll be really good to see him actually play some game time. Be a good one to be at that.
Yeah. Cool. Right then, Tom, we best let you go, buddy. Oh, I think he's already gone. The internet connection might have popped up. Oh, you're still there?
I can hear you.
Oh, it's just popped up. The internet connection between you two might be a bit iffy. So I'll let you go before we lose all control. We've gone for pretty much an hour now, so get back to some news and stuff.
Okie dokie, mate. Well, it's been good talking to you. And as I say, one last reminder, I know I've done it before, but I can't not remind the fans listening. HuddleMagazine.com or at Huddle Magazine on Twitter, or find us on Facebook. You can either search through the search option, or the web address is facebook.com/Huddle Magazine UK. And thanks to everyone who has supported us over the last 2 years, and thanks to everyone who's going to support us over the coming years. And I started this because I love the game, and I think when we talk, you can hear the passion, and I'll continue to have that passion and keep driving this forward. So thank you to everyone that does listen to me ramble on every week, both with the news and things like this. And thank you to all of those that interact with us and buy the magazine and just support the organisation.
Awesome stuff, Tom. I appreciate it, buddy, and I'll give you a text, drop your text and a bell in between before we get to this again.
Okie dokie, mate.
All right, then, mate.
I'll catch you later. Have a good rest of the show.
Will do. Appreciate the call, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Speak soon. Ciao. And that was Tom there from Huddle Magazine. As you can tell, once we get going, that seems to be it, really. We never stop. We've not spoken for a while, in fairness. We've dropped the odd text here, there, and everywhere. So great to catch up there. And I'm sorry, guys, if we did dribble. Just drive on for a bit. Yeah. Bear with us. Right then, the chat room's been going absolutely wild again. A lot of fun going on in there. Apologies once again to the guys in there that I've been unable to catch up with you. I've dropped a few messages in there. There's been some good joking and good general fun going on in there. So again, if you want to join in, there's still time. I'm probably going to go for another 20 odd minutes in fairness. I want to get to the feature that I'd got all penned out. So a bigger show than normal this week. So that's all good. So again, Spreaker.com, search Zone Coverage Football Show and come and join the fun there. I'm going to just rattle off the news briefly, bit of weekend words, and then get through the feature that I had put to one side. So let's start off with catching up on some news. NFL news. Right then, first up, we spoke about it with Tom just, but Tom Brady's suspension, 4 games, he's now appealed against that suspension. That's probably going to end up in court, the federal courts. It's going to be a constant back and forth all season, just to make sure that the NFL rams this down our throats. I'm already sick to death of it. We've nicknamed it saggy balls or squishy balls or whatever you want to call it. So, in addition, with that suspension for Mr. Brady, the Pats got fined $1 million, no first pick in the 2016 draft, and I think it's a 4th round pick in 2017 draft as well. Utter madness, like you say. It's going to be the lead story forever and ever and ever until something ridiculous happens. Hopefully, I hope it doesn't really. We just need to wash your hands of it. Moving on then, the Pats did sign the now reinstated Fred Davis. He missed all of last year for repeated violations of the substance abuse policy. The Texans, they released former 2nd round pick in the 2013 draft, safety DJ Swearinger. And 8 teams then put in a waiver claim for him, but he ended up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So DJ Swearinger now a member of the Tampa Bay Bucs. Back to Patriots news. They cut cornerback Kyle Arrington. He was due around about $3 million this season. He then signed with the Ravens on Wednesday. They wasted no time in giving Arrington a 3-year deal. Prior to the arrival of Revis and Co. For the Pats, Arrington had started at least 12 games in 2010, 2011, 12 and 13. We mentioned it last week, or it might have been the week before actually, that Terrell Pryor had a tryout with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's then since signed a contract with the Bengals, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Will the Bengals progress, win a playoff game? That could be a very, very bold prediction for a show that I'm probably going to do towards the beginning of the new season. The Dolphins, it found out that they did not tamper during this year's free agency period in their pursuit of Dominic and Sue. So that was another report. Believe it or not, there was actually other news rather than Deflategate going on. The Dolphins didn't tamper, so that is that. A Terminator, aka John Connor, he's been reunited with Rex Ryan up in Buffalo. I do believe that's a 1-year deal there. And we called it last week, didn't we? The popular person amongst NFL folk, Odell Beckham Jr., he has been named the Madden cover star for this upcoming season. That's pretty much it really in regards to the news. There's not a lot going on there. Tom's now joined in on the chat room, so he says fire away any questions. So if you're in the chat room, fire those questions over to Tom and he'll do the handiwork for me, save me having to worry about anything. So feel free to head over there. Again, get your tweets in. Very quiet on Twitter this week at Zone Coverage FS. First question to Tom: have you fed the dog? Fantastic. That comes from Terry. Terry's been on absolute fire in the chat room today. I'm loving that. It's proper for me now. Anyway, let's move on to I can't even remember what I'm supposed to be doing. A weekend words.
Listen to me, Mr. Big Shot. If you're looking for the kind of employee who takes abuse and never sticks up for himself, I'm your man. You can treat me like dirt and I'll still kiss your butt and call it ice cream. And if you don't like it, I can change.
Right, that was the new Weekend Words feature. Just gives me a chance to have a drink. So again, if you're new to the show, Weekend Words, there's a few quotes from around the leagues, around the league through players, coaches, and various personnel, just shedding a little bit of light into a few scenarios. So first up, we have a Giants defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, up on his return to the Giants. He says pretty much. Well, he's got this to say for those that are expecting more of the same of what happened last time, where he did, of course, win 2 Super Bowls. This isn't an on and off switch here. Boom, all of a sudden we're back to the 2007 and we pick up where we left off. It doesn't work that way. It's a different challenge. It's a different year. I've got different personnel. I'm not a magician. Things aren't going to happen like they may have happened in a different time, but hopefully, something exciting will happen. At least that's the goal. So Steve Spagnuolo there just pouring a bit of cold water on the expectations that may be amongst Giants fans there. But he does tell us that expect something exciting will happen. Right, and on then to Ravens GM Ozzie Newsome. He turned up the heat on safety Matt Elam and linebacker Arthur Brown in a conference call that took place with season ticket holders this week. It's pretty damning, was Ozzie Newsome. He had this to say: I think it's readily known that we have not been satisfied with the way he's played thus far. The Ravens also as a team have not been satisfied with Matt Elam, and I don't think Matt has been satisfied with the way he's been played. Arthur Brown is another young man who at this point of his career needs to find a way to get onto the field. When you've got CJ Mosley, Darryl Smith playing at a very high level, it's hard for someone like Arthur to get onto the field. So Ozzie Newsome is doing his off-season warnings, basically. Get your ass in gear or you'll be out, or seeing a very limited playing time. We mentioned earlier on, myself and Tom did, that Jerry Jones is a little delusional, and this next quote actually adds to that. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys' arrogance in regard to their backfield that contains a sitting Darren McFadden, Joseph Randall, Lance Dunbar and Ryan Williams. This is what the delusional Jerry Jones had to say. When you say the entire running game, and that would be including our tight ends, including fullbacks, the entire game, we're better. That's all he said. We're better. I really don't think you are, Jerry. I just don't. Next up then we had Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin reckons that Marshawn Lynch will be even more devastating now that the Seahawks have Jimmy Graham. And that's a scary thought, really, when you think about Marshawn Lynch being even more devastating than he was. God help everyone in the NFC West. It's going to be absolute brutal. This is what Baldwin had to say. He can be an offense completely amongst himself. His ability to be a big target in the red zone, his athleticism is really strange for the guy's size. The way he moves, it's unbelievable. He's going to be able to do a lot of things for us offensively. Not only is he going to be able to open up things for myself, but also for Marshawn as well. And by opening up things for Marshawn is going to be devastating to the defenses we face. So, you've been warned. Not that we didn't already know how good Marshawn Lynch was. I've seen a couple of quotes. There's been some, the Cardinals safety, Tyrann Mathieu, also found some shots in the news this week at Jimmy Graham saying, Luke, this is a tough division. You're going to have to learn to block. That would have been a good quote to write down. Anyway, next up is Raiders head coach Jack Del Rio. He wants to bring the swagger back to the Oakland Raiders. And this is what he had to say. Struggling. He didn't say he was struggling. That was just me. Anyway, Jack Del Rio said this. I was asked the other day about the Raiders' mystique. Let me tell you what the mystique was. It was people knowing that we were going to get pounded when they were going to get pounded when they played the Raiders. There was fear developed through physical play of the football team. We want to bring that physicality back. We want to bring swagger back, but it has to be controlled, calculated, and fundamentally sound. It has to lead to winning. It's not the kind where you draw penalties and play sloppy and become undisciplined. So the Raiders are going to be a big, physical, nasty bunch. The NFL's a better place when the Raiders are a good team. Everyone loves the Raiders and the Black Hole. Awesome. So we'll see what happens with the Raiders. Like I say, they've made some interesting acquisitions during this year's draft. and via free agency. So we shall see where we go with them. Plenty of questions going on in the chat room. Tom is holding down the fort there, answering a variety of good stuff. So I appreciate Tom jumping in there. Next up then, I'm going to look back. I did say at the top of the show, it's been a while since these head coaches were appointed. And that sort of seems to have been swept under the carpet with the draft and all the other nonsense that's going on. So I thought, why not? We'll do a bit of a profile, sort of dig into each sort of head coach's background. Not everyone knows everything. Myself, I was amazed that you'd be surprised how many players, our current coaches, I should say, sort of go back to the roots, and certain people that the sort of a favour of a favour of a favour seems to play a lot within the NFL. So first up is the new coach of the Buffalo Bills, Rex Ryan. His journey to the head coach position took its time, spent 22 years as an assistant in both college and the NFL. Like many coaches, Ryan did the grunt work early on, making tape from picking up players and also all that sort of making butties and all that sort of nonsense, basically. I'm not sure if he made a butty, but you sort of get into grips with what I mean. Age 26, however, he became assistant head coach and defensive coordinator at New Mexico Highlands. He spent another 4 years at Morehead State as a defensive coordinator before his first shot within the NFL. And of course, having a dad within the NFL that invented the 46D has its benefits. Ryan got his first shot in 1994 as a defensive assistant, where he worked with the linebackers and D-line. His time, though, however, was short-lived as the entire staff got fired the following year. The team went 4-12. Anyway, Ryan went off then back to his college roots, where and he returned 3 different teams as defensive coordinator before getting his second chance within the NFL. That came via the new head coach of the Ravens, Brian Billick. He was hired as a D-line coach, and Ryan never looked back during his first couple of years. Ravens D, as we all know, was NFL record breaking. It was absolutely fantastic. Ranked second overall and set records for fewest points allowed, fewest rush yards. He was then promoted to defensive coordinator after Mike Nolan accepted the job as the 49ers head coach. And during his time with the Ravens, obviously we all know that who did they batter now? Was it the Giants in Super Bowl 35? And he was Assistant Coach of the Year award via the Pro Football Weekly. Then in 2009 he got his big break as the head coach of the Jets. All started very well with the Jets, back-to-back AFC Championship games, but poor quarterback play led to Ryan's downfall and those annoying predictions of we're going to win a Super Bowl every year, and it started to grate on fans. So it went downhill. After an 8-8 campaign, he did sort of save himself that year as we demolished the Dolphins on the final day. There was a video of him celebrating and all that sort of stuff. So Ryan got one more shot, and then we went 4-12. And again, just the quarterback, Sanchez, Tebow, Geno, Vic, says it all, doesn't it? That led to, as we do know now, Rex Ryan got fired, and then this year, he's now head coach of the Buffalo Bills. So a bit of information on Rex Ryan there. As we know, the players love to play for Rex Ryan. And they play hard for him, but he's mainly criticised. Rex's main criticism was not getting as involved with the offense as he should do. And if you've read the book Collision Low Crosses, that'll give you a fantastic insight into Rex Ryan and more importantly into Mike Pettin, head coach of the Browns. I'm sure I mentioned that book numerous times, in fairness. On then to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn spent his early years on the field playing for his high school team, Morrisontown in New Jersey. He went on to play 4 years as a starter on the D-line for Salisbury State University. His experience playing on the D-line served him well as he spent the next 6 years as a D-line coach for the William & Mary Virginia Military Institute and Hofstra University. As Hofstra, he also served as a defensive coordinator as well as overlooking the D-line. Quinn's break in the NFL came with the 49ers in 2001, where he was appointed defensive quality control coach. And then after a year, he went back to what had served him well throughout his college coaching life, D-line coach. He had spells with the Dolphins, Jets, and Seahawks as D-line coach, and then he spent 2 seasons with the Florida Gators as their defensive coordinator at D-line again before returning. to Seattle as a defensive coordinator, replacing the now Jags head coach Gus Bradley. As we know, as Seahawks defensive coordinator, led the league, fewest points allowed, fewest yards, and of course crowned Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 48, and was there last year when the Seahawks lost. Legion of Boom, it's all you need to know. Dan Quinn, fantastic job, and obviously that's led him now to becoming the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. On then to, we mention him a lot, and we keep saying that Jim Tomsula sort of gets thrown under the bus as a 49ers coach. Is he being set up to fail? But this is some interesting info on Tomsula. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, he spent his collegiate days playing defensive end for Catawba, Tennessee State University. Earned his stripes as a strength and conditioning coach. He was a D-line coach and assistant coach over a period of the next 16 years. In 1998, he was D-line coach of the England Monarchs. He had the same role for the next 4 years at the Scottish Claymores before becoming the defensive coordinator of the Berlin Thunder. He won the World Bowl 12. And then landed his first head coaching job in 2006 as head coach of Rain Fire. Following the disbandment then of NFL Europe, Tomsula became the 49ers D-line coach, a position he held up until his promotion this year. During his time, though, as D-line coach, he, however, was in charge for one game as interim coach. That was the final game of the 2010 season as he beat the Arizona Cardinals 38-7. And again, like Rex Ryan, one of the things that stood out for me and the research for Tomsula is players really, really gravitate towards Tomsula. They like playing for him. They really, really do. So, again, the worry is, has Tomsula got that offensive mentality? Is he going to fall into that trap that Rex Ryan did? We shall see. On then, next to Gary Kubiak. Kubiak's career was interesting. I actually enjoyed doing the bit of research that I did. Kubiak, he reunites with John Elway in Denver after spending his entire career, I should say, as Elway's backup. He did start 5 games, by the way. He went 3-2 during them 5 games. But prior to all that, Kubiak's affinity with his hometown, Texas, was evident. He was QB for St. Paul's High School in Houston. He was inducted to their High School Hall of Fame. Goes on to spend his collegiate days at Texas A&M. Highlights include leading the conference in passing yards, touchdowns. He was then drafted by the Broncos in 1983 in the 8th round of the draft. And then he spent the next 9 years as Elway's backup. Kubiak then returned after retiring from the game. He returned to his alma mater at Texas A&M for his first coaching gig, where he spent 2 years as the running back coach. And then in 1994, he got his first gig in the NFL as a 49ers quarterback coach. He ran one Super Bowl 24, Steve Young's 6 touchdowns. That was Kubiak's coaching. Didn't stick around though in San Fran as he went on to become the Broncos offensive coordinator. Again, teaming up with a certain John Elway, who was in the twilight of his career. But he did guide the Broncos to back-to-back Super Bowl titles in 97 and 98. After 11 years then in Denver, he was handed his first head coaching job as he became the coach of the Houston Texans. He spent the next 8 years. The Texans achieved a lot under Kubiak, in fairness, and I felt sorry for Kubiak because he was ill towards the end of his tenure there, and it just went downhill rapidly, and I feel that they sort of flushed him out the door. Some of the first he did achieved, it was 2007, the first time they had a non-losing record. First playoff appearance was in 2011, then again in 2012. You'll be shocked to hear that, well, you won't be shocked actually, because he beat the Bengals in both games. Unlucky Bengals fans. As we know, the 2013 season started off with 2 wins, and they then went on to lose the next 14 games, which pretty much sealed Kubiak's fate. He was then fired, and last year he became the Ravens offensive coordinator. And I didn't know this until I looked, but during his time as the Ravens offensive coordinator, he provided them with their highest offensive ranking in their history. Their offense was ranked 12th. And once again, Elway and Kubiak are reunited in Denver. Roles are very, very different. Have you noticed Kubiak always seems to be under a certain John Elway? I don't know what the dynamic is there. On then, next up, Todd Bowles. Another guy that spent his time on the field and played his college ball for Temple before going undrafted in 1986. Despite the fact, though, that Todd Bowles went undrafted, he did go on to spend 8 seasons within the NFL playing safety. He spent 5 years with the Washington Redskins and then a season in San Fran before returning to the Redskins for another 2 seasons. During his first spell in Washington, he was part of the team that won Super Bowl 22. That was a 42-10 win over the Denver Broncos. His coaching life then begins at Morehouse College in 97 as a defensive coordinator / secondary coach. Held the same position at Grambling State. He then started his NFL coaching career, ironically enough, with the Jets. In 2000, he was their secondary coach. He held the same position for the Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. And with the Dolphins, he got his first taste of the head coaching gig in 2011 after the Dolphins fired Tony Sparano. What's his name now? Todd Bowles. Mine's gone blank. Todd Bowles was in charge for the last 3 games as interim head coach. He won two of those games. He then went on to the Eagles, where he became a defensive coordinator. The following years, he then becomes the Cardinals defensive coordinator. And as we know, with Bowles, an outstanding job over the course of the next 2 seasons, despite the loss of key players to a combination of free agency and injuries. He was then named Assistant Coach of the Year last year, which is inevitably led him to becoming head coach of my Jets. So that is a little info on Todd Bowles. I'm just going to check in, see what's going on the college. Not on the college, we're talking about college football in the chat room. So I'm going to leave him to that. College ball escapes me, if I'm honest. On then to John Fox, now the head coach of the Bears. Fox, former DB at Castle, I can't read my writing, at Castle Summit High School, and then at San Diego State College. He was undrafted in 78, but become a member of the Bucs team. He retired, though, after 2 years and went back to his college team, where his coaching career began. He spent the next 8 years as a defensive back coach, including 1 year in the USFL for LA Express. His first gig, however, comes in 1989 as he became the secondary coach for the Steelers. He held that same position then for the Chargers before landing his first coordinator gig. He became defensive coordinator for the LA Rams and then the Giants, where he spent 5 seasons. His first head coaching gig, came in 2002 as he was appointed head coach of the Carolina Panthers. During his second year in charge of the Panthers, took him to the big dance and lost out to a certain Tom Brady. Well, actually, it was that boot of a certain Adam Vinatieri as the Pats won with the last second field goal, 32-29. A couple of years later, he did take the Panthers back to an NFC Championship game, but this time he ran into a Seahawks team that would eventually go on to lose to the Steelers in that Super Bowl. Following a 2-14 season in 2010, Fox's contract was not renewed, but it didn't take long for the Broncos to snap him up. Biggest achievement maybe for the Broncos, I'm going out on a limb here, he got through the Tim Tebow era, so anyone that gets through that deserves a bit of credit. During his time as Broncos head coach, he won the AFC West every year, all 4 years. He was in charge in Denver. 1 Super Bowl, obviously, and then 3 AFC Championship games he got to. So John Fox, very, very interesting career there. On to finally, it's my last one. Wow, they've gone quick. Jack Del Rio, now Raiders head coach. He was a former linebacker during his career that spanned 11 years within the NFL. Started out college-wise at USC before he was drafted in the 3rd round, 68 overall of the 1985 draft by the New Orleans Saints. Went on to play for the Chiefs, Cowboys, Vikings, made the Pro Bowl in 94 as part of the Vikings team. But unlike the others that I've profiled today, Rio didn't earn his coaching stripes in college. He was straight into the big leagues. His first gig came as a strength and conditioning coach and linebacker coach for the Saints. The Ravens, he was a linebacker coach. Part of that, again, the Ravens team that won a Super Bowl. Spent a season as defensive coordinator for John Fox's then Panthers. His first head coaching job came in 2003, where he then spent 9 years. Tom will attest to this. I think he mentioned Del Rio before, did a decent job in Jacksonville. 9 years there. He never won the South, though, during his time in Jacksonville, but he did grace the playoffs a couple of times. I think he won one, a couple of defeats. They were both to the Patriots. I think he got to the divisional round and the wild card round. Then in 2012, he was defensive coordinator once again under John Fox. And during this time in Denver, he was interim coach after Fox became ill. I can't remember what happened to Fox. I know he was ill. He missed some time due to illness. And then, obviously, once the firing of Fox and everyone in Denver, opportunity opened up. And Del Rio is now the head coach for the Raiders. So that is a little bit of insight into every single new coach. I don't think I've missed any ever. So hopefully you found that of interest. And wow, it's now 5 o'clock. I've been going for an hour and a half. A very unexpected, lengthy show there. So I'm going to wrap it up, folks. I am going to wrap it up. There's plenty going on in the chat room. If you want to keep tweeting at me, at Zone Coverage FS, do feel free to do so. Next week is going to be the last show for about 4 to 6 weeks, maybe longer. I am off on my holidays, spend a bit of time, quality time with the wife. So all that's left for me to say really is thanks to everyone that's joined the show in the chat room, for Tom for coming on and having a lengthy chat. Good to catch up with Tom. I'm going mad. I've been on the radio for too long. So that was nice there. I forget Twitter handle. Huddle Magazine. Go over to huddlemagazine.com, at Huddle Magazine on Twitter. Tom's still in the chat room now. So again, if you want to jot down the number for next time, 07444 048 266 is the number. Email me, zonecoverage@footballshowmail.com. Again, iTunes, Stitcher, all that sort of nonsense. Leave me ratings, feedback. Next week's going to be the last show for a while, so spread the word, tune in. We'll see what we can get going on there next week. 3:30 we're going to go from. Remember, 3:30 is going to be the new time going forward and upon my return. So until next week, folks, I'm hoping to have a guest on for next week. We shall see. We shall see what's going to happen. I've got irons in the fire. I say this every week, but there is. They've just been there a while. Anyway, all that's left for me to say is hustle, hit, and never quit.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Unable to listen live? We've got that covered. Simply search the Zone Coverage Football Show in either iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to subscribe. All our shows and details on how to call into the show can be found on the website, www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com.